Kindness at the bus stop. The bus stop sat quietly at the edge of the road, its faded bench warmed by the late afternoon sun. People gathered there every day, each carrying their own invisible worries, tired feet, heavy hearts, and thoughts that stretched far beyond the road ahead. An elderly woman stood near the signpost, clutching a small cloth bag. Her eyes scanned the street again and again, hopeful yet uncertain. The bus was late, and the wind had begun to turn cold. She shifted her weight, clearly uncomfortable, but said nothing. A young student noticed her hesitation. Without a word, he stood up from the bench and offered his seat. The woman smiled softly, the kind of smile that carries years of gratitude. "Thank you," she said, her voice gentle, as she slowly sat down. Nearby, a man fumbled through his pockets, realizing he was short on fare. Frustration creased his face as he stepped aside, unsure of what to do next. A stranger waiting behind him quietly handed him a few coins. There was no lecture, no expectation, just a brief nod and a shared understanding. As the minutes passed, the mood at the bus stop began to shift. Someone shared an umbrella when a sudden drizzle started. Another person offered directions to a newcomer who looked lost. Small conversations sparked, and for a moment, strangers felt less like strangers. When the bus finally arrived, it was crowded and noisy. Yet the kindness lingered. People helped one another climb aboard, made space, and held onto bags so others could stand comfortably. The elderly woman looked around, her eyes shining. "This place," she whispered, "feels warmer than my home today." As the bus pulled away, those left behind returned to their quiet waiting. But something had changed. The bench no longer felt faded, and the air didn't seem as cold. Because at that bus stop, kindness had arrived long before the bus did, and it stayed long after. The bus doors closed with a soft hiss, and the vehicle disappeared down the road, leaving behind a quiet pause. Those who remained at the bus stop stood a little differently now, less distant, more aware of one another's presence. It was as if the small acts of kindness had woven an invisible thread among them. The elderly woman remained seated on the bench, smoothing the edges of her shawl. A young mother standing nearby noticed her trembling hands and offered her a cup of warm tea from a small thermos. "I made extra this morning," she said with a shy smile. The woman accepted it carefully, her eyes filling with emotion as the warmth reached her fingers. "You don't know how much this means," she whispered. A teenage boy leaned against the shelter wall, earbuds dangling unused. He watched as a man helped a child retrieve a ball that had rolled into the street. The boy hesitated, then stepped forward to stop passing cars, raising his hand until the child was safely back with his parents. It was a small moment, but it changed the way he saw himself, no longer just someone waiting, but someone who could help. The rain grew steadier, tapping softly against the metal roof. A woman removed her jacket and draped it over the bus stop railing to shield a stranger's groceries from getting soaked. Laughter followed when a gust of wind tried to steal it away, and for a brief second, everyone forgot the weight of their day. Conversations bloomed naturally. Stories were shared, about long workdays, missed buses, and journeys that felt harder than they should have. Each story was met with listening ears, nodding heads, and quiet encouragement. No one tried to fix anything, they simply made space for one another. When the next bus was announced in the distance, no one rushed forward. They helped the elderly woman stand, made room for the mother and child, and ensured the man with the groceries boarded safely. As they stepped onto the bus, each person carried something more than just their destination, they carried the feeling of having been seen. And at that bus stop, where time once felt wasted, it had quietly become meaningful. Even after the last bus pulled away, the bus stop did not return to its usual silence. The echoes of shared kindness lingered in the air, settling gently like the fading warmth after a kind word. Those who had boarded the bus carried the moments with them, unaware of how deeply those small acts would follow them into the rest of their day. Inside the bus, the elderly woman sat by the window, holding the empty cup of tea as if it were a keepsake. She watched the streets pass by, her reflection faintly visible in the glass. For the first time in a long while, she felt less invisible. The kindness she had received reminded her of the years when she herself had been the one offering seats, smiles, and patience to strangers. The circle, she realized, had quietly come back to her. The young student stood near the door, gripping the pole as the bus swayed. He thought about how easily he had offered his seat, without planning, without expecting thanks. The simple act filled him with a calm sense of purpose. He wondered how many chances like this he had missed before, and how many more waited for him each day, hidden in ordinary moments. A few rows back, the man who had once searched his pockets for spare change stared out at the rain-streaked window. The coins he had received were small, yet they carried a weight far greater than money. Someone had believed in him, even briefly. That belief softened something inside his chest, and he made a quiet promise to pass it on when he could. As the bus moved through the city, kindness continued its journey. A passenger shifted to make room. Another held onto a bag so it wouldn't fall. Soft smiles were exchanged, and tired faces relaxed. No grand gestures, no heroic acts, just a steady rhythm of care moving from one person to the next. Back at the bus stop, the bench stood empty, but it no longer felt forgotten. It had been a place of connection, a pause where lives brushed against each other and left something good behind. The wind carried away the rain, and the streetlights flickered on, casting a gentle glow over the shelter. Kindness had not changed the world that day. The buses would still be late, the roads still crowded, and worries would still wait at home. But it had changed something quieter and more powerful, the way strangers looked at one another. And sometimes, that is where real change begins.